The United States has a unique and strategic relationship with three Pacific Island nations: the Federated States of Micronesia, FSM, the Republic of the Marshall Islands, RMI, and the Republic of Palau. These relationships are based on an international agreement called the Compact of Free Association, COFA. The COFA grants the U.S. exclusive access to huge strategic areas of the Pacific, while providing defense and economic assistance to the island states. The COFA was established in the 1980s as a result of the U.S. UN trusteeship over these islands after World War II. The U.S. had an obligation to promote the self-government or independence of the islanders, who voted to approve the COFA in plebiscites. The COFA also recognized the U.S. nuclear legacy in the RMI, where it conducted 67 nuclear tests between 1946 and 1958. Under the COFA, the U.S. has full authority and responsibility for the security and defense of these islands, which cover an area larger than the continental U.S. The U.S. can use their land, water, and airspace for military purposes, and has established important military bases in Palau and the RMI. These bases support U.S. operations in Asia and the Pacific, and provide early warning and missile defense capabilities. In exchange, the U.S. provides financial assistance, access to federal programs, and a special immigration status to the islanders. Citizens of these countries can live, work, and study in the U.S. without a visa, and are eligible for some federal benefits such as disaster relief, education grants, and postal services. The U.S. also provides economic assistance through annual grants and a trust fund that aim to promote development and self-reliance. The COFA agreements are not permanent, but have expiration dates that require periodic renegotiation. The current agreements will expire in 2023 for Palau and 2024 for FSM and RMI, unless they are extended or amended. The U.S. and these countries have expressed their mutual interest in maintaining and strengthening their partnerships, especially in light of the growing competition and challenges in the region. The COFA is not only a strategic asset for the U.S., but also a moral commitment to support the people of these islands who have sacrificed and contributed to U.S. interests. The COFA reflects the shared values, history, and friendship between the U.S. and these Pacific nations. The Pacific region is a vast area of ocean dotted with small island nations that have rich natural resources and strategic locations. It is also a battleground for the rivalry between the U.S. and China, two superpowers that are competing for influence and access in the region. China has been increasing its presence and engagement in the Pacific over the last decade, offering loans, aid, development projects, and security cooperation to many island countries. China's motives are not only economic, but also political and strategic. China wants to gain more allies and partners in the region, especially among those that still recognize Taiwan as a sovereign state. China also wants to secure its maritime routes and access to resources, such as fisheries and minerals. The U.S., on the other hand, has been trying to maintain its influence and leadership in the Pacific, which it sees as vital for its national security and global interests. The U.S. has a long history of involvement and presence in the region, dating back to World War II and the Cold War. The U.S. has military bases and alliances with some Pacific countries, such as Australia, Japan, South Korea, and the Philippines. The U.S. also provides aid, trade, and assistance to many others. However, in recent years, the U.S. has faced challenges and setbacks in the Pacific, as some island nations have shifted their allegiance or preference towards China. For example, in 2019, the Solomon Islands and Kiribati switched their diplomatic recognition from Taiwan to China, following a similar move by Vanuatu in 2004. In 2022, the Solomon Islands signed a security pact with China, sparking international concern over the possibility of Beijing building its first military base in the region. In response, the U.S. has ramped up its diplomatic efforts and outreach to the Pacific countries, hoping to counter China's growing influence and assert its own role and commitment. In 2022, President Joe Biden hosted a landmark summit with Pacific leaders at the White House, where he pledged more aid, investment and cooperation on issues such as climate change, health and security. In 2023, Vice President Kamala Harris visited Singapore and Vietnam, two key partners in Southeast Asia that are also wary of China's rise. The U.S. also reopened its embassy in Solomon Islands after a 30-year absence. The competition between the U.S. and China in the Pacific is not likely to end anytime soon, as both sides have strategic interests and stakes in the region. However, some analysts and observers have argued that the rivalry could also bring benefits and opportunities for the Pacific countries, as they can leverage their position and demand more respect and support from both powers.